Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Scotty, beam me up.
Hulk. Smash. Get over here.
It is pointless to resist.
All right. We're going to try something new. We've got Nick from Worthington's Law here with us, and we're going to play a video for y'all. So, Gregor, take it away.
Yeah.
If we can get it to work, we're trying to figure it out.
I'm in the kitchen! I'm in the bedroom! I'm in the living room! I'm in the garage! Don't talk to me when I'm in the other room! Don't talk to
Fucking
me
A,
when
right.
I'm in the other room! Don't talk to me when I'm in the other room! I don't talk to you
What the say
when
this
you're
shit to
in
my
the
pod?
other room! What?
All right, here we go.
Yeah, that's what we call a day in the life.
100%. Don't talk to me when I'm in the other room.
Glad y'all like that. I thought you could connect to that as fellow punk rock dads.
Oh, absolutely. Just people in general, I think.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
they
no,
have
there's no way to
everywhere.
argue that. You can't. How are we supposed to say no? My wife, God bless her, she puts up with so much shit from me, but man, seriously, I didn't hear you. What? And then she repeats it at the same decibel level, in the same direction, and I have to say I cannot hear you. And then she will come around and scream at me, "Are you deaf?" And all I can be like, "I don't think I am. I think you don't know where I'm at."
Or what I'm doing.
Yeah, there you go.
No, it's not. They're like one room away, and she's in the kitchen. I'm in the living room.
Hey, you just memorized my song.
Yeah.
No, it's 100%
Some of them.
dead on. Say it again, louder.
Yeah.
What?
Sounds like a teacher from Charlie Brown.
No, seriously.
Wah, 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 wah.
Except for no, at least there's some intonation there. I mean, there's actually, like it's a mute with a puppet. I can deal with that. Like what I did, and God bless her, I love her so much, man. She cannot speak louder. But the thing is, though, is I catch myself doing it to her too.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
I'm
like I'll be
guilty of it.
upstairs and I'll be like, hey, Tabby, come do a thing. And she'll be like, I can't hear you. And I'll be like, do the thing. But it did not help at all. Not only did it not help, now we're fighting.
It always expands into something that you didn't want it to begin with. It was never in the cards. It just happened.
Well, no, at least once a week, or else nothing feels right.
I get that. Really understand that. But yeah. So Nick, Worthington's Law. Why don't you start? We all love an origin story, and Matthew tried to be here tonight, but we're gonna do it for him.
All right.
Where did Worthington's Law start? Where did the name come from?
Yeah. So I'll start with the name. Actually, it's did you all ever watch Mr. Show with Bob and
yeah.
David?
Mhm.
So there was a sketch in there, and it's funny because I don't quite even remember the premise, if he was like a law firm or what it was, but Worthington's Law was a law that states more money equals better than. And so the first song that I wrote as Worthington's Law was I was gonna go for this like kind of funny and political thing, and that felt like a really good name for that. So yeah, the first song I wrote as Worthington's Law, it was in 2020. when a lot of our like passion projects started, probably. Perhaps this podcast. You know, we're in lockdown. We're just spending a lot of time with ourselves and on Facebook. And I actually got involved in the Punk Rock Dads group pretty early on, but I was like a lurker for a long time. But just watching other people and like just reconnecting with like the music of my youth through that group, and then reconnecting it to my life today and the kind of anxiety I was feeling around like the current events. I just really wanted to start writing and like making punk music. I had been in a band when I was in college, but it was kind of just for fun. We like played in basements and played parties and stuff. Never took it too seriously, but I wrote a song called Gaga for MAGA, which is about your loved one going MAGA and what that might be like in your relationship. I wanted to do like a whole album around that like theme, but it was just too like exhausting and stressful.
I can't do something like that without getting angry.
Yeah, exactly. So what ended up happening was so I wrote that song and it just kind of like floated out there for a while. I had it on Spotify and I tried because I thought I was so clever for coming up with it. I was trying to advertise it, but it was in the middle of election season, and so I had, because it was political and because it was election season, I had to like fill out fucking paper. Oh, can you curse? Paperwork just for my Facebook ads. And I was like, okay, forget this. I made one song. That's good enough. I'm fine. I don't care if no one hears it. I know it's good. But then like a few months later, a friend of mine, actually the guy who was in that video, his name's Vinny, he shared Gaga for MAGA with one of his friends who has a studio down here in North Carolina. And his buddy was like, hey, if your friend ever wants to make music, send him my way and like I'll record him. And so the joke was on him because I don't actually play anything. So I was like, okay, so how about I write songs and you and Vinny play them for me or with me? And they somehow agreed to it. And now we have 2 EPs and a Christmas song and
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is the best origin story.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it just
that is fucking awesome.
What happened? I fell over and landed in this, and I like.
Yeah, it's been awesome, honestly. Like, and actually, we have our first show was just announced today. We're playing in September. Like, I didn't imagine any of this when I started doing it. You know, I'm 42 years old. Not to say that I thought my dreams were all dead, but you know, we have other things going on in our lives at this age.
Like you don't realize that you can still achieve your life goal no matter how old you are.
Yeah.
It's like you think you have to have everything done by the time you're like 40, and you don't.
Yeah.
Well, Craig over here is a great example of that, man. Yeah. Like, Craig's been like busting out books and like, yeah, you know, I think once you find that thing, and it's also finding a community to support you, is an important part of it.
Yep.
So for me, it was Punk Rock Dads, but also just here locally. My friend Scotty Sandwich, I got to give him a shout out. He is Worthington Law, like music wise, like he plays everything. He's the ultimate North Carolina punk rocker.
I have to meet him.
But if I didn't have Scotty, like, you know, I wouldn't be able to do this. And so it helps to have like somebody to support you or enable you, or you know, however you want to look at it. So yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest problem people have when they don't like, you know, follow their dreams, is there's just no support for them. If somebody said, hey, you can do this, probably like, you know, like kick dirt to do it, you know.
Yeah. That's true. Finding a group of people that is 100% behind whatever crazy ass shit you're getting into.
Yeah.
That is the best thing in the world. It doesn't happen often enough.
Yeah.
just kind of keep egging you on when and you know, I think a lot of creative people, especially like in the punk rock community, deal with a lot of like mental health, a lot of, you know, anxiety and depression. And so self-doubt, man, you know, between the time I was in my first band and this band, like that's 20 years of like me telling myself I can't do anything.
Right.
And so it just feels really great to like have some sort of outlet that like I can connect with other people with.
Yeah.
Sure. I totally get it. That's how it was for me in school, because like I didn't really have a core group of friends. Like I floated, and like to quote SLC Punk, I floated between the tribes like a
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And,
One of the best, by the
so
way, just because you brought it up, the amount of shit that movie gets from people, I do not understand. The only thing I can figure is somebody grew up in Salt Lake City during the fucking 80s. Like,
yeah,
somebody knew what the fuck they were talking about. They maybe hyper contextualized it, but legitimately, that movie, like, somebody knew what the hell they were talking about.
The hardcore guy, like the nerdy hardcore guy.
yeah, 100%.
Odd people. I mean, like, it was 100%. Like, I was like, oh, no, I know these people.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, all the way through it, I was like, no, I seriously, Waffle House. You used to sit there and drink coffee with these assholes.
Yeah. For real, dude. Like, we all have that one friend who's like the geekiest guy you know, but he will kick your fucking ass. And it's just like Mike and SLC Punk. He's like the hardest guy you know, but he's a big nerd.
The idea of kicking the police window out, he had to be on drugs. No, he was just angry.
He was just drunk and mad. That's it. He got drunk and kicked out a couple. But yeah, dude. It's insane, like to a T. Like we all had that one friend that looked like they didn't belong, but knew that they had you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had one goth guy that like hung with my crew. So we were definitely motley, like a little bit of punk rock, but also little nerdy, little just whatever. But then one goth dude, like one like for real, wore a trench coat, wore like makeup and long hair and shit. And like we're like, okay, Patrick, like you can go to McDonald's with us. Like,
Patrick.
And you know what's great though is they actually drew fire. Like, as far as that went, depending upon where you grew up and when, having that one goth kid in your crew, it was great because it just meant that everybody was going to target them, and you could actually stand off on the side and be like, yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
I don't know why you got a barbed wire crown on either. That's fucking stupid. You should do something about that.
But no, like, my first band, like my buddy Zach, we've had him on the show before, but with Suburban Downgrade, they're doing great stuff. But we had a bunch of bands in high school. Well, it was one band, but we went through 3 different phases. Like we started off as like this pop punk band doing Blink-182 covers. Moved up to like a screamo kind of sort of metal band. And then we just started playing what I call chug chug hardcore.
Yeah.
And like that was all of junior and senior year.
Right. That's the right way to put it.
That's exactly what it is. It's chug chug hardcore with a dissonance chord thrown in every now and then.
Right here, we drop to a minor with less crunch pedal.
Ooh, what's that? An arpeggio? But yeah, but that's how we got our frustrations out. You know what I mean? Because you couldn't go around beating the shit out of people.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have, but it wouldn't have led there. But through music, at least there was a chance that you could go somewhere with it.
No, they're really like the beating the shit out of people. Okay, so all of us grew up in, I'm guessing, different states. I mean, I was in Atlanta back in the day. That like the only thing you knew, like there were suburban punk rock kids. They did exist. They were around. It's just that generally speaking, if they were around, they had to deal with a ridiculous amount of shit from everybody they went to school with, everybody they grew up around. So the only way you could get any type of like respite from that was to go to a show.
Yeah.
Any show. And when I was growing up, like, and Bear, this is one of those like, God, it's such an aged fucking thing, but it's the only thing I can think of. When I was growing up, you had to go in groups because Atlanta was not a safe place at the time. like at all. I mean, most of your shows would be at the Masquerade or possibly at Somber Reptile. Occasionally, I mean, there were a bunch of places you would go, but you had to go in a group. And every time we got down there, we would be dealing with other punk kids that grew up at the same time, but they just happened to grow up in Atlanta.
Yeah.
They were a little ruder, a little meaner, and implicitly more willing to defend what they considered their territory. But the problem is, the only way you could get to a good show was to go into their territory.
Yep.
That's why
I know
I'm
exactly
glad,
what to do.
that's why I'm glad
Pennsylvania
punk
was the
rock
same
can
way.
be like, it can be fun again. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to take itself seriously anymore.
Well, like that was also like I had a lot of friends I grew up with that ended up becoming skinheads because skinheads took everybody.
Yeah.
They shit where you remember who you were, they'd shave your head and call you one of theirs.
Yep.
And bearing in mind, I have absolutely no issue with like the traditional skinhead thing, but at the time I was growing up, it wasn't traditional fucking skinhead.
Shout out to Derek Mooney. Shout out to Derek Mooney, fellow PRD. Representing the OG skinhead.
Oh, hey, speaking of which, Nick, the PRD thing, what was the first iteration you jumped in on?
I think it had to be the first one because it was like fall of 2020 or summer of 2020.
Yeah, I want to say you came around like shortly after I did because I was in July.
Would have been part 1 or part 2, either one. Part 2 was in 2021.
There was like there were a couple like quick version changes like soon after I got there. So
like not long after the election, the first one got shut down.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when the political page started, and that's when Legit Shorts was born, and that's when all the other
talk about a legend though.
Oh God. Brian Louise, our friend in Germany. My God.
My man talking about his very legit shorts and his new woman.
I still don't know what the fuck he was trying to say there. But if you know what we're talking about, you know.
I do, and I saw him in like another post, like subsequently, probably in the new group, because somebody was asking about like the origin of Legit Shorts, and he came to like try to explain it, and it's like further made less sense actually.
Oh, he's good with that. He's really good about that.
But he did mean what he said.
Yes. Oh, he means every word that he said. That's what I love about that man.
Yeah.
But yeah, like PRD, gonna get real for a sec. It saved my life.
Wow.
I was in a really dark spot. I don't want to get into it too much, but like I was just in a really dark place, and I'm still kind of there. But like, you guys are still pulling me from the muck, and I appreciate you. Like for real. I can't thank you guys enough.
Throw it back.
Okay.
To Richard Martin. You can thank him.
Yep, Richard Martin.
Guy started
the
thing.
The patron saint.
The Big Daddy PRD.
No, I've made some like real friends out of that group, which is awesome. Like, because I kind of come and go. Like, actually, I probably haven't really participated much in the last couple of months at all. But the same. Well, Craig, you're one of the folks I consider my friends over there. But like, I love just seeing like the same dudes like representing and like just holding it down. It feels like a familiar, like, I don't know, like my old school or something I can like keep coming back to anytime.
It reminds me of summer camp.
Yeah.
It felt to me that same thing. No, exactly the same thing. It felt to me like the same group of people I used to run into at shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, maybe you don't hang out through the course of the week, but man, if there's something coming up, you're going to see him and you'll pick up right where you left off.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is like its own little thing because, like, look at how everyone bands together when someone says the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
300 people jump on that post to let them know.
What's funny, even like funnier than that, is like what you define as the wrong thing, except for everybody just kind of knows.
Yeah.
Like this was not too far. Nobody's cool with what you just said, guy.
Yep. Read the room, buddy. Read the room. That's all you got to do.
Jason, hearing you talk about your experiences in Atlanta, though, it reminded me the first time I had actually heard the phrase gutter punk. A buddy of mine had just been to Atlanta and came back, and it was like, they've got gutter punks there.
Oh,
what are gutter punks? And he's like, you know, like what Rancid looks like? Well, like that, but like dirtier.
Like that. They feel like an artist, they really need money to get a hotel they're going to buy blats with. And the sad thing is, you can't even argue. You can be like, all right, yeah, you're going to get beer. You know what? Fuck it. If I were you, I'd do the same thing. You can't be comfortable. That's not comfortable. No one's happy.
Life, you know, like you didn't even have to pay to get into a show. You would just show up there an hour early and just walk up and down the line. Got $1.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, you were in the right venue. That was the most wonderful feeling in the world. Just being able to show up and be like, hey, when are they getting here?
Yeah.
Go inside.
I wish I could have gotten away with that at the Crowbar.
Well, it depended on. I mean, bear in mind that at least in Atlanta, same thing used to pop up in Nashville. Any show that was going on, there was another show that same fucking night.
Right.
Another band who is just as interesting to you. So it came down to like the guys working the fucking doors didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
As far as they were concerned, like, yeah, if you showed up on time or afterwards, they're going to charge you. But if you got there beforehand, who gives a shit? They're not even on duty. Plus, you didn't have to be there. Or you could be somewhere else. Maybe you'll buy drinks.
There was a venue. In Harrisburg. There was a venue in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I used to show up to like an hour before doors even were thought to be open, just to say I would help out. No, I was getting into that show for free because Strike Anywhere and Bane were playing, and I was going to see that show, and I got to see that show, and it was a great show. So.
You know what's funny? I bet Nick would know about this too. If you live around an area long enough and you play enough shows, and granted, like you were saying, your original setup was 20 years prior to what you're doing now. My guess is you experienced this. I know I did. When you go to certain venues where you play, you just walk in. They don't even fucking ask you anything. You just go. It doesn't matter what time. They're just assuming you're playing because
exactly.
Yeah, you just have all your gear.
Yeah. Well, especially as the singer.
You walk in. God, that sounds so weird.
Yeah, that's why we used to always book shows with our friends' bands and stuff, because we would just share gear and just, we'd change up guitars, but that's it. But like drum kits and amps, we were all sharing that stuff.
We didn't bring our drum set. Yeah, you didn't bring your fucking amps or guitars. Shut up.
That happened one time at a show that I booked, and I was just like, "Eat it? What? What?"
All right. So when Conflict came through Nashville, like fucking maybe 12 years ago, 13 years ago at this point, we had I'm sorry, I'm looking at the flyer for it. But the thing is, we had a show set up with them. I can't remember the name of the place, but it was like a goth club that did punk shit on the weekends, right? So we're playing with them. We're playing with somebody. I cannot remember who else, but they were the big deal. Conflict was the big deal.
Yeah.
This other band, like they were like, there's only like 300 people here. Can I just use your kid? I don't want to set my kid up for this.
Wow.
What? I'm supposed to say too, though, because it's fucking Conflict. Right? Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, you go right ahead. And then he beat the shit out of my drum set and destroyed my cowbell. I only had it there to look at, but he still fucked it up.
Oh man. Okay. Why don't we cut to a quick break?
Yep.
Refill our drinks, and we'll come back and talk about some movies and stuff.
Yeah.
With my new watchdog, those kids can't make me go cuckoo for my favorite cereal. Delicious, munchy, crunchy, chocolatey Cocoa Puffs. They're part of this good, nutritious breakfast.
Oh, Sonny!
Get 'em, boy. Wake up!
Want a bite of Puff Puff Cocoa Puffs? Chocolate tasting Cocoa Puffs. Munchy, crunchy, chocolatey.
Cocoa Puffs! Yum! I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs! I really whoop 'em down.
The look, the feel, the sound, so real. Entertainment.
The AK Centerfire, automatic water weapon, batteries not included, with up to 30 feet of firing power. An extra clip for reloading, a shoulder strap for moving out. There's also the M16 rifle, the sidekick pistol, the RPG rocket water launcher, the AK Centerfire.
The look, the feel, the sound, so real. Entertainment.
Blast off a pizza. Blast off a pizza. Blast off. Blast off. Blast off a pizza. When you're blasting in the oven and you wanna stuff your face with the freshest freaking pasta you can find in outer space. Dinner is made and so are we. And of course we make a margarita pizza with a lunar twist. And a marshmallow so rich and Branson can't resist. For dessert we make an interstellar tiramisu. And an offer you can't refuse. And of course the Nova. And be nice to the guys in the Armani space suits, or they'll send you back to Earth in concrete boots. When you're at La Costa Nova, you're with family. Free rocket parking in the back. All ingredients are freshly whacked. At La Costa Nova.
All right, so Nick, you were just telling us about your little secret there. You don't really say anything.
That makes it sound
Funny you should ask. Oh, how do I rate my music,
Yeah.
you ask? Well,
Yeah.
that's a good question. So yeah, I mentioned earlier that I don't play anything, and that is true. I have a keyboard, I have a couple guitars. I know a little bit about writing music, but to me, the best thing that happened in the 20 years between the times I was in a band writing music was the advent of GarageBand for the iPad. So this basically this is my little like studio here. And what I do is like, it usually starts with like, I'll come up with like a melody in my head or something. So I can't get off my sack. We were talking about that during the break. I have a song that's not even really a melody, it's more of just like a shout, but I have like a hardcore song about so the premise, this is how it goes. I'm like, I get high, and then I think, oh, it'd be funny if there was a hardcore song about somebody being on my cul-de-sac and me yelling at them, because that happened. I don't actually yell at them, but I want to. And so in my head, I start thinking up. I'm like, how do I? Okay, so I come in here and I start with a guitar track, and I hope this is a good demo. Like, I imagine that this would be cool, but it might not be. So that's the riff I started with. And so that's a MIDI guitar where I'm like, I told it what key it should be in. So this is in like B flat, which apparently I write in a lot. My collaborator Scotty told me. And so yeah, so then I have the riff, then I add the bass, et cetera, and then eventually, let me see, how do I show you all the sections here? And then eventually I'll have like this full demo, and with my vocals in here.
Yeah.
So I can make it sound.
No, you can do some amazing shit with that. Like it is. We've had a couple bands we talked to at this point that were literally. I mean, we're talking like touring bands or people that are getting together to record. They have done it via digital transfer.
Wow.
Recording everything because they started at like the beginning of COVID.
Yep.
Worked their way through it, and finally they were able to tour. But the point is, like, they were like one of the bands Craig and I talked to had never actually met each other physically.
Yeah.
Wow.
They went to record. They'd only written the songs by sending digital transfers over and over.
Wow.
This is, I think, something that this is probably the future of music. In all honesty, you could be in a band without knowing people.
Yeah.
And so the rest of the way that it the rest of it unfolds for us, it's kind of like the Postal Service. Remember that group, the electronic group?
Yeah.
So they basically would send files back and forth to each other. So I'll take this GarageBand file, send it over to Scotty Sandwich, who will then play the actual parts.
Love that name.
At the sandwich shop is the name of his studio.
Because of course
yeah. He's great branding.
One of my favorite tattoos too. The
oh, nice.
It's fucking brilliant. To me, that is a brilliant tattoo. That is like somebody thought outside the box. I mean, that's brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah. So he'll go ahead and play it and put together like a pre-production version and send that back to me, and then I actually do all my vocals at home.
Nice.
With this microphone just to save time, and then I'll go to the sandwich shop and we'll just knock out whatever solos or extra parts we need to, and we can really efficiently produce music this way, and it's been awesome.
Especially if you're able to sit there and just come up with a random idea for a lead.
Yeah.
Not Pro Tools, but off of GarageBand. That is a really cool thing, man. That shit did not exist 20 years ago. That was not something.
Exactly. Well, like you guys, I've been listening to punk rock for 25 plus years, whatever. And so you just can I don't know, at least that's how my brain works. I can just kind of hear what I want to be listening to or something. You know what I mean? I hear an amalgamation of all the bands I've ever listened to. And then in my own way, I try to just get that out into this MIDI file.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
that's just pure genius.
Thanks, man.
That's what it was. It was not Bitmaker. Beatmaker is a similar program.
Yeah.
Pro Tools. Sorry, I keep saying Pro Tools because that was the precipice of what you want to record on. I was still recording.
Yeah.
So we're talking once again 20 fucking years ago.
Oh no, Pro Tools is still
Is it still
that's
the
still
same?
the top.
Yeah. Well, of course it would be. Why wouldn't it be? I mean, of course it would. But to me, the idea that you could actually sit at home and just be like, I've got an idea. Nope, wrong key, and then move it up one, and suddenly you have a song. That's fucking amazing. And I mean, say what you want about digital recording in any version, be it pop, punk, country for that matter. At this point, it doesn't matter if you can do it by yourself, alone in a room, because you have an idea. That's a fucking amazing thing. We did not used to have that. That is not something we had access to. You either had friends that wanted to play guitar badly, or you didn't play anything. It just didn't happen.
Yeah. And that was the problem with starting a band back in the days, because everybody wanted to play guitar, nobody wanted to play drums or bass.
See, what's fucked up about that. The only thing I ever wanted to play was drums, but then again, I couldn't understand guitar, so that makes sense.
See, my cousin was a drummer, but he was always in other bands, so he never was able to
drummer,
be in
dude.
a
If
band.
you're a drummer and you want to play, you can find a band.
Oh yeah, no, because everybody's looking for a drummer because there's no drummer.
No, it's seriously, I could literally post something online right now and be like, I haven't played in 15 years, but I'd like to play again. I'd have like 8 people being like, we play a Johnny Cash band and we'd really like somebody. Okay. It is an amazing thing. Same thing with bassists, actually, because I mean the whole what was it? I had a bassist in Nashville that used to say you could literally throw a rock and peg a guitarist in Nashville.
Oh yeah,
no problem. Just throw a rock, you'll hit a guitarist. You will not find bassists. You will not find drummers.
That's true. Same thing with Pennsylvania, really.
Yeah.
Especially in the early 2000s when I was growing up, like you can't find bassists, you can't find drummers. It's all guitar players and people who want to sing. It's like, no, we already have that position filled. Like, you don't understand. We need drummers. Like, we're not an acoustic duo. Folk punk isn't a thing yet, but you know. But
punk is something that's great.
I'm almost certain that's how it started, though, because nobody could find a bass player or a drummer, so they're just like, you know what? Give me my acoustic guitar and a washboard.
Oh, we can make this work.
Yep, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then Days and Days was born.
I myself have seen a violin. Perfect. Let's do it.
But yeah, it's just technology has come so far in such a short time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, very much. So,
like, look where we were, 120 years ago versus 50 years ago. You know what I'm saying? It's insane.
Well, I mean, even then, like you were saying, 50 years. Like, if you take the way Elvis recorded any of his original shit, and not to say that Elvis is a great example, but the only thing I can think of is Sun Studios literally recording vibrations onto wax,
singing into a can.
Yeah, right. And now we have the bit, like, you can hook up the shittiest microphone on earth. You could take
rock
set up
band
iPhone. Seriously, you could literally take a
I've
rock
recorded
band
with
mic.
them. I've recorded with them.
There you go. You can literally do that and make anything sound better than the shit we grew up listening to.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. But for real, those rock band mics work like condenser mics if you mute them. It's insane how good a quality you can get out of them. Just like a $10, $20 microphone you buy at GameStop.
Well, Joe, so apparently back in the day, I'm not sure about this. It's just something I read once. Somebody was talking about being able to record. There was some hip hop artist was talking about his original recording. They didn't have a mic for it, so what he did is he took the headphones from the studio and he rewired them.
Yeah.
Like, he just reversed the wires.
Plug them into the input instead of the output.
Yeah, and suddenly it was a recording device. Which, once again,
I've done that too.
I mean, there you go. That is the most amazing thing to me. That is like the shit that we love, the shit that made us enjoy what we enjoy.
Yeah.
That's the type of shit they were pulling. Like, I mean, God, there are probably so many albums that we love that were recorded on a 4-track, and then possibly if they had an engineer, layered over another 4-track.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, we love, or at least for me, part of the punk culture that I love the most is the DIY element of it. And there's a big difference between DIY 20 years ago and DIY now, when I have,
because there's a difference between MacGyver and fucking MacGruber.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears to get in a show together, or like flyering, and it's wild. Like, and yeah, the recording process. Like, if one of your bandmates had a 4-track, you'd be lucky.
Oh no, you were great.
Yeah.
We're gonna live mic the drums. Everything else is going line in. Enjoy, people.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Christ, and then for that matter, you had some of the pedals they came up with to deal with that was actually amazing to me too. There was a pedal that came out. I mean, it was just any guitar pedal. I mean, if you had a jack in, you could also reattach it to your amp. The point of the matter is, if you took it and hooked it to a 4-track, it suddenly created a virtual recording device. So it turned a 4-track into a 5-track.
Wow. Yeah.
Which was, I mean, like, once again, at the time,
right,
fucking amazing. We have a 5th
Yeah,
track.
exactly.
Oh my God, we can mic the snare and the bass drum. Oh, shit has changed. It's different.
Yeah. Well,
it's also really cool.
Not to just like shove a story in here, but this was something I was thinking about earlier, Jason, when you were talking about like just high school shows and stuff. Like, I was thinking about how because of the internet, like, or because of the lack of the internet, at least when I was in high school, there was a lot I didn't know about my favorite bands.
Yeah.
And so, like for me, the whole ska punk thing was really like what I was specifically into.
Yeah.
And so Asian Man Records, Dill Records, I loved all that shit. And Skank and Pickle came to Fairfax, Virginia, where I'm from, and I was like, "Holy shit! I'm gonna go see Mike Park in Skank and Pickle." And so I go there, and I get to the show, and it's at this like rec center, and a couple other bands play. Skank and Pickle comes out, and there's an Asian guy playing saxophone, but I'm like, I'm like 17, so I don't want to be racist, but I don't think, is that the guy? Because Mike Park is Korean, but I don't think that's him. Like, but I don't want to assume it is. And so anyway, the whole show goes by, and it wasn't until like near the end that I realized it wasn't Mike Park, that he actually wasn't even in the band anymore. And that, he had like left after their last album.
That story did not end up the way I thought it would.
No.
Well, actually, I do have a coda. I have a coda to that specific story, but like I had no idea, because how would I have found out? Like, unless my friends had already seen them to tell me, hey, by the way, because I didn't have like Twitter to check or anything.
Right.
I asked if they would come back. They said they didn't know.
What is that fucking meme? Like, you kids grew up being able to look up lyrics. You didn't sing the shit wrong for 20 years and only find out you're an idiot. Like, it's 100% true, man. You cannot. There is so much shit that we have at the touch of a fingertip that we did not have when we were growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, even then, I mean, for that matter, even learning the political meanings of different bands. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand that not everybody is into the politics side of music, or at least this specific style of music. There are quite a few bands that I fucking loved that I did not find out until later were not at all something I should be supporting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there were some bands that I was like, fuck yeah, this is great. And then once I got a clearer understanding of what they were saying, followed by shit they had said in the press,
yeah,
I was like, oh my God, I'm an idiot and they fucking suck.
Yeah, that's true. The internet really like digs up the dirt on people you consider heroes and such, especially in the music scene. That, you know, there's so much technology now that anything can really come out into the open.
Oh no, completely. It'll bite you in the ass too. That, like, the shitty thing is, okay, so when you think about movies and you think about different types of music being dropped in a specific scene, right? One of my favorite music combinations with any movie scene is Derek and the Dominoes, the piano refrain from
Layla.
Yeah. Going through Goodfellas.
The last 5 minutes of the song.
For no other reason that it fits so perfectly. It is such an upbeat thing with such a horrible backdrop, right?
Yeah.
And you find out Eric Clapton gave a fucking entire speech at a show about how much it sucked to have people that weren't white in England. Like, it's like that. Like, it kills me because it kills everything that was done prior to that. So the double-edged sword is also trying to figure out a way to separate the artist from the art.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I feel like with music, especially, I feel like it's a little easier to be forgiving of like the artist, or like not even forgiving, but like to be like willfully ignorant of the artist, because music just feels like something that's just like in the air, and like once it's out there, it like just belongs to whoever hears it. But I don't know if I'm just like wearing rose-colored glasses when I say that, but like that's how I justify still listening to Screeching Weasel, is that like those are the best pop punk songs ever written.
Yeah.
he's kind of, you know, a shitty guy, but
Well, that's the thing. That you find, like, I watched that video on multiple occasions. You hear his side of it. But that's the problem, is that I want to hear his side of it because I don't want to hate him.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like his whole thing, like they were antagonizing me all night.
Yeah.
I lost my shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I understand that too.
I completely understand it.
We're
Human,
somebody
like-
heckled you, it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you lost your shit.
Yeah.
He could have handled it a lot better.
Yeah,
Coulda
exactly. I think,
handled it.
yeah, exactly. And like the fallout afterwards, I think he was just a little defensive of himself, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
think he
too
like,
defensive.
yeah.
I don't know how to feel. I mean, there's so many, like, I mean, Love Songs for the Retarded is a fucking seminal album.
Oh yeah.
Incredible
Yeah.
all the way through. There's not a song on there that is not incredible, but even then, naming the album title
Yeah.
Yep.
is not right.
Or even the band. Queers.
Well, if you were to disregard everything you knew about him, the fact is, if you were to randomly walk into a record shop, assuming that that was still your main place to get music, and you came across an album entitled "Love Songs for the Retarded," the only thing you would think is, man, they could have fucking named that better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like that's a product of existence now, but at the time, it was just, like I remember, like 13 years old, coming across that thing. I was like, that's funny.
Yeah.
And I look back on it, I'm like, man, it's not.
Well, I mean, with the Ramones core bands, I mean, look at the Ramones. You know, they were talking about being a pinhead and everything else. It's kind of just the same, just like modernized with that genre. You know what I mean? Like,
no, exactly. I mean, these are things that, well, and that's where it also goes back to the whole question, like separating the art from the artist. I mean, there is a lot of what we listen to and the shit that we love was not really that polite, but it wasn't supposed to be. But at the same time, it was almost like in modern terms, it was over the line.
yeah.
True.
And I mean, granted, that's not like you can't look at 1962 and compare it to not 19 anything, but 2022. Can't.
Right.
But at the same time, you can't help but do it if you're still into it.
Yeah. For the record, Pinhead is still one of my favorite songs ever.
Absolutely.
Because it's a great song.
Fantastic.
That's the shitty
Mentally
part.
by the Riverdales, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the songs just maybe you could have named them better, but that's the hook. That's what sells in that genre, you know. Like,
I mean, at the time. Well, that's also where I wonder where, like, I mean, the PRD thing in particular. I mean, how many times have we seen conversations with
dancing Jesus?
that
Y'all need a little dancing.
needs to be a regular thing. It's just
Dancing Jesus.
anytime the conversation starts to get ridiculous, don't even wiggle it, just put them up and drop it back down and still.
I'm watching you.
I am also rocking to this song.
He dances the
Speaking
Slayer.
of
He really
songs,
like Slayer. Dancing Jesus.
Speaking of
He's cool.
But Jason, you mentioned Layla, the piano refrain playing in Goodfellas. I want to talk about that real quick. Like upbeat songs playing in scenes in movies that you wouldn't expect it to be
Oh, I
playing.
got so
The
many of
the one song that comes to mind is
Yes.
Stuck in the Middle with You by Steelers Wheel.
fucking great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A
And I
wonderful
think you guys know what movie I'm talking about.
That's what
Oh yeah, no.
You
Obviously,
know,
it's that iconic that every person anybody that watches this would immediately be like,
Reservoir Dogs.
Well, when you talk about that kind of contrast in the visual and the audio, like, yeah, that's what my mind goes to. But it's funny because he probably borrowed that from Scorsese, because Scorsese did that, like, I think in other occasions too, Scorsese did like similar kind of.
when you had, all right, so Michael Madsen was given free reign to do what he wanted to do to make it menacing.
Yeah.
That is my knowledge on this movie.
Yeah, it's exactly what
To move in a menacing manner and just go with it. And
And
to
he
my
was
understanding,
dancing
they
around.
chose the song. I don't know how correct that is, but I do know that there were still plans to make a Vega Brothers movie.
They wanted to do that.
Like
they wanted to do that, but absolutely. But they, time just went by too quickly.
He got older, he got a little thicker. So
well, same with Travolta.
No, absolutely.
You can't do it with them. No, you can't because they're both dead now. But like the characters.
Exactly. But that movie with him, even that scene in particular with him just sideways dancing with a straight razor,
cutting off a dude's ear,
fucking cop crying and begging for him not to. That is a brilliant juxtaposition.
Absolutely.
It probably was a Scorsese thing. You're probably correct about that. If no other reason than the intensity that can be built up in a scene like that, just from the music and the fucking visual. Glorious.
Incredible. And it's iconic.
Well, it's, but what is it? That movie was released in
92. Yep.
Oh,
there you go then. 40 years. Wait, no, not 40 years. Oh, sorry.
40 years. Good Lord, Jason. I'm not that old.
Apologies. I'm
You're knocking off.
I'm sorry for everybody here.
Jesus Christ.
30 years ago, that movie was fucking released, but it was so far ahead of its time for that scene, if for no other reason.
Yeah, absolutely. But
you got that one. You got Layla. You guys saw Starship Troopers, right?
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I just remember the shower scene.
Starship. Oh, yeah, no, that's fair. By the way, Paul Verhoeven, when he directed that, this is a random side. I'm sorry I do this, and I apologize.
What we do, man.
Paul Verhoeven, when he directed that movie, the only way that all the actors would get naked for that scene was if he directed it while he was naked.
Oh,
that's fair.
Everybody in that scene, including the people filming.
Awesome.
That's fair.
Good for him.
That's completely fair.
What I was going to say though is in Starship Troopers, the scene where the main character Casper Van Dien runs across the pilot guy who ends up taking his girl, right?
Yeah.
He punches him in slow motion and sort of like faded out while they're in the middle of like the mess hall or some shit. But Mazzy Star Fade Into You is the background. It is the craziest juxtaposition of like fighting with a soft, sad song.
Yeah.
But what's weird is if you you can pull it up on YouTube right now, it hits.
Right.
As silly as that movie was, that scene hits.
I'll have to watch that again.
It's only for that part. The rest of it is hilarious.
Well, yeah, of course.
Well, and it was supposed to be, though. It was supposed to be a farce. People were confused about what it was. There's a scene in it where Michael Irons said something sucked out his brains and holds a skull that's empty. That is clearly a satire.
Yeah.
Like, that is 100% like, this is a sci-fi moment. Here's our sci-fi thing. And people got it wrong at the time. It holds up well, though. But that's neither.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anybody else?
I was gonna say, what are some other examples? Because I'm having trouble thinking of any right now off the top of my head.
The Dawn of the Dead remake when they opened with Johnny Cash when the opening.
That's right.
Very good. Oh wait,
but it was a fitting song. No. It was Dawn of the Dead remake.
Yeah. No. I get that with the Johnny Cash thing, but the House of a Thousand Corpses when they're drawing out the
yeah.
Sunshine Over You.
Jungle Boogie.
No, not Jungle Boogie.
It's that country.
Although Jungle Boogie, no, I know the scene you're talking about, and that also works.
Yeah.
Christ. There's a lot of those.
Where they shoot the cop and they're like spanning.
Right, when Walter Goggins is on his knees and they just draw out forever and they're playing this happy country song.
Yeah.
Ridiculous upswing to it.
And then you just hear.
Yeah, and then it's over. I mean, it is intense and it's ridiculous. And I remember sitting in the theaters watching that shit and an entire audience of people laughing their asses off because they were uncomfortable watching it.
Wow.
Right.
Like, that was a great combination.
Yeah.
But back to Dawn of the Dead, though, the Johnny Cash song, like, it was a fitting song for that movie, though.
It was.
But, like, I'm talking, like, whereas with Steelers Will, and Reservoir Dogs, it completely throws you through a loop.
True.
You know what I mean? But like just the theme of the Johnny Cash song in Dawn of the Dead, though, like it fit the movie itself. And same with
the man, right? When the man comes around.
Yeah, when the man comes around.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just I love moments like that in movies, and I just it sucks that I can't think of any off the top of my head that do that. But
There's so
when you have like a
actually are.
happy
The
song,
sad thing is I have a bunch of songs in mind, and none of them can I name. I only remember snippets.
If I can talk like fitting moments when they play Road to Nowhere at the end of what do you call it?
Little Monsters.
Yeah, Monsters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great movie.
God.
Actually, still one of my favorite songs too.
Yeah.
That shit comes up on my fucking Pandora all the time because I'm old. I won't even go to Spotify anymore because my Pandora has my list.
I feel like I've heard I can't remember what movie it would have been, but like I feel like there's been a time where like "Oh Holy Night" or like some Christmas song has been used in like a similar way where there's like
every horror Christmas movie.
Right.
I remember one thing I do remember. Anybody remember that show Raising Hope?
Oh yes.
Vaguely. Yeah.
Like a hospital show or something?
No, it's
Raising Hope was the same guy that did oh fuck me.
Andy something, isn't it?
The guy that directed it also did the guest book, Raising Hope, and there was another there's a show like this guy does awesome shows.
Yeah.
Hispanic name, something Ramirez.
Yeah, it is. I would definitely suggest it. This is a funny show. I think you can find it. It's streaming somewhere. I know.
Dracor Noir.
Weezer, remember the Christmas album they put out?
Yeah.
They play that when they're like doing the live nativity, and these guys are like beating each other up.
Oh, nice.
I was gonna say you could say Die Hard 2 with "Oh Holy Night."
That maybe that is what I was thinking of. Yeah, I was picturing like blood spattered snow.
Well, Die Hard 2. That'll do it.
Die Hard 2, Black Christmas, one of them.
Yeah. Oh,
Black Christmas actually did Here Comes Santa Claus and
Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies.
Oh shit, it did when he was cutting out the parts, didn't it?
But that song is always that song has always just generally been creepy for me.
Sugar Plum Fairies is pretty bad. I always thought Hall of the Mountain King.
Hell yeah.
Was a very intense.
Yeah,
that's like a super intense song. You can do almost anything. You know what's hilarious is, to my understanding, the guy who wrote it to insult modern orchestration. He did it because he wanted to point out how stupid modern orchestration was, but it's a really intense fucking song.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the speed up, the sudden half steps all the way up. That is a seriously intense song.
I used to play it on tuba.
Oh shit.
Man.
When I was in from 7th to 12th grade, I played tuba.
All right.
Wow.
And I was actually pretty good. I just I don't know. My parents were like, my parents were like divorcing and shit, and I just wanted to be a punk and just. So, I know. I was like, I know. I didn't mean to do that. I was just trying to think of like, why did I quit? Oh yeah, because I hated my dad and he played trumpet.
I was very
I'll never play the tuba again.
Anyway, I wanted to be a punk, so I stopped playing tuba. But while I played, that was my solo for. There would be this festival every year, solo competition, and I would play in the Hall of the Mountain King. And this woman, my mom's friend, played piano for me. So I'm very familiar.
That's fan-fucking-tastic.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's horrible. Sorry.
And I come from a broken home.
Same, man.
Yeah, don't we all?
Wait, is there anybody here that doesn't? Anybody? Not yet. Not in the
Yeah.
No. I don't think
That's
it's
what
that.
makes you.
I mean, there's some kids sleeping back there. They don't. I mean, that's about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Aside from your children.
Did you guys ever? Like, there's some. It was some random post where somebody was like, "You right now are the person you wanted as a child.
Yes.
To be there as an adult."
Like hell, I am.
All right, no, all right, fine. You don't think you are, but my thoughts are when dropped into the position, like I am exactly the dad that I wanted.
Yeah, dude. So I posted that one time, but I didn't make it up. I got it from somebody else. Like somebody else had, I forget what the original post was, but like somebody in just like somewhere buried in the threads, someone was like, be the adult that you needed or something like that. And I was like, holy
exactly
shit,
that.
dude, like that's fucking
That
powerful.
mind-blowing moment, is it not? Like,
Yeah, so I posted it myself as like an original post. I try to like give credit to like I was like I don't know who wrote this, but to me that was like the most powerful like way to crystallize like at least my intentions. You know, I might not be doing it all the time, but that's who I'm trying to be.
Yeah,
the dad that I need.
100%.
So yeah, it's funny because I always grew up with this like I guess if we are going to go down that path a little bit, like I my parents fought all the time, and my dad was like really shitty and had a horrible temper, and I just I didn't know what kind of grown up I was going to be, but I knew like what kind of grown up I didn't want to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And that sort of like negative role model, I don't know, it's gotten me this far. Like that's what fuels me, is like I just don't want to be the same like shithead that raised me. Basically.
Yeah,
that's like my only goal every day is not to be angry.
Yep.
I try as hard as I can not to
yeah.
The
I only make
struggle
goals
is
I can
real.
achieve.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there's no point getting specific. Aim for the big part.
Yeah.
Surviving the day.
You're going for the kill zone. The actual kill.
Let's get through the day. Let's see what happens.
Seriously.
I'm just trying to make it through the next hour, okay?
Pretty much. That's me at work.
Well,
That's
it's
me
like
at work.
right? Like we all have kids that we've been around either as our own or otherwise as toddlers, right? And they can be frustrating, they can be absolutely infuriating, but they're mostly really fucking funny.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
just
kids fucking hilarious.
sheer experience of something that you take for granted that they found as new is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I've got a 3-year-old that I'm watch movies that I see or I enjoy, that they are just brand new things to her. Like we had her watch what was it, Never Ending Story the other day. Holy crap! Of course, it's her best friend. When I was a kid, I wanted Falcor.
Right.
I still want out. I'm 43 years old. If somebody gave me the opportunity to have a Falcor, I would take it. But all she would say is, "Good dragon." All I can be is like, yes, it is a good dragon. You are correct. Keep watching. It gets better.
Yeah, it's like that was my favorite thing because like my stepkids, they love the Goonies, and that's been one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was just told by my sister that my nephew also loves the Goonies. So sweet. So sweet.
Oh, yeah.
That's been one of my favorite movies. What's that, Jason?
My thoughts, like the Fratellis, I always thought when I was not when I was a kid, but when I was a teenager, I got a little bit older. My thoughts were that if I got a chance to hang out with the Fratellis, I would do it.
That's fair.
I probably wouldn't enjoy it. I mean, they threatened to put a kid's hand in a blender. That can't be good.
Yeah, that's kind of fucked up.
They also offered them ice cream.
That's true.
And they had an awesome brother.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
guys.
Sloth is pretty cool. I'd hang out with him. I mean,
I'd hang out with Sloth.
there ought to be something there.
Oh, hell yeah. Eating Baby Ruths all day.
Dude, just fucking the electric company. That whole thing. Like literally, when I think of movies that had a great impression upon me, The Goonies, Legend, Labyrinth, and Never Ending Story are probably tops.
Yeah.
And Buckaroo Banzai too, but that's only because Tucker Bonsai.
For me, Labyrinth is definitely one of the ones that I watched over and over again. But the ultimate for me until I was about 10 was Spaceballs. And the only thing that dethroned Spaceballs was Wayne's World. But those two movies, like, goddamn, like every, like, you know, I guess until I was older and like I was watching The Simpsons all the time, but like the Spaceballs was like directly where my sense of humor came from.
Right.
Understandable.
And funny thing, watching back, like I'm kind of surprised my parents let me watch it because I think it came out like 86 or 87, so I would have been like 6 or 7, and like there's a lot of cursing in it, but
well, right, but
I guess that was okay.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, my mom didn't mind me watching R-rated movies, but the second I listen to music that has the F word in it,
yeah, why?
End of the fucking world, man.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. I could watch, like, she let me watch Terminator when I was like 4. What's the most pivotal scene in the first Terminator movie? When Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor have sex and conceive John Connor. I'm 4 years old sitting there watching this. When I'm 12 and I'm listening to Kid Rock, I get yelled at.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
They let my sister watch Midnight Express when she was 5.
Yeah.
Well, that's a hard
It was the same. Like, my parents didn't care if I watched Return of the Living Dead, but God forbid I put on Beavis and Butthead. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
right. You weren't allowed to watch Beavis and Butthead around
somebody to set their house on fire.
yeah.
Y'all remember that bullshit, right?
Yep.
What?
So Beavis and Butthead, when it was in its heyday, there was a toddler that got a hold of a childproof lighter and set his house on fire.
Well, the lighter was obviously false advertising.
Well, they blamed on Beavis and Butthead because Beavis and Butthead had been viewed the previous week.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It had nothing to do with he got lucky or unlucky or however you want to look at it. Point of the matter is, had nothing to do with the show he was watching. But that didn't stop every major news affiliate from saying Beavis and Butthead because of Beavis saying fire over and over again.
Well, they did the same thing to fucking pretty much every metal band in the 80s when people started killing themselves while listening to Slayer or something. No, that just happens to be the band that they had to be playing.
The whole thing, like the whole idea, I mean, it's been thoroughly debunked at this point. Like, it has 100% been disproven. Video games, movies, and music have no effect on actions.
Yeah.
The one variety of music, apparently, that actually does have an effect on somebody's activities, country music.
Yeah.
That was a study done in the fucking mid-90s at some point, I guess. There were it came out that if you have violent tendencies, the music most likely to cause your violent tendencies to peak and react had to do with depression and sadness.
Yeah.
So if you were listening to music that, I guess, puts you in a spiral, a hole, however you want to look at it, it would cause you to act out.
Right.
All right. Now, bearing in mind, none of this was ever proven. It was just a study done. Point of the matter is, though, the one variety of music that was proven to have an effect on the human psyche was country music.
It's crazy how that works out.
As far as I'm concerned, I mean, I didn't even question that after that. I read that and I was like, that's right.
Why don't we go ahead and take one more quick break, and then when we come back, we'll wrap her up.
All right.
That was good.
Ask him, ask him. Ask Xandar. Xandar, am I going to the prom with a geek? Please say no.
Excellent chance.
You're going to the prom with a geek? Okay, my turn. Do I have a secret admirer?
Absolutely.
He knows everything.
Ask Xandar. Wave your hand and he speaks. Guess what he predicts, and the winner gets the special fortune read.
You will get a phone call about this.
Ask Xandar, the talking wizard game.
Definitely.
Annoyed hates hot quality pizza. He loves to make your hot pizza ice cold. Call Domino's Pizza and avoid the noise. We keep the cold out and all this quality in. So when you want quality pizza, hot and delicious, Domino's Pizza delivers. One call does it all.
I got a dog. I got a baby. Suburban hell on wheels, kept fasciitis in my heels, so fucking move already. I didn't get to take the lunch today, and now you want me to do what? I'm going on a walk. Going on a walk. Going on a walk. Going on a walk. I got a podcast on. I brushed your memory phone. I hide behind mirror shades, and my kids got a name. We brought the iPad along. I got a one-hitter in my pocket, man. It's daddy's time to shine. Going on a walk. Going on a walk. Going on a walk. Going on a walk. This is the one time of day I get to myself. I take 30 minutes. That's all I ask for, 30 minutes. But sometimes it takes me 10 minutes just to get out the door. Cause even my walk, even my own walk is not my own. I take the kid on the walk. I take the dog on the walk. I take the kid stuff on the walk. I take the dog stuff on the walk. Gotta find my AirPods for the walk. Gotta download podcasts for the walk. Watch Fredrickson, I'll turn out a punk. It'll take me walks just to hear it all. But I got a one-hitter in my pocket, man. It's daddy's time to shine. Gone on a walk. See you later. Gone on a walk. Gone on a walk. Gone on a walk. At least I'm getting stoned.
Quanta gente ci passa,
All right. So Nick, earlier you mentioned Worthington's Law. You guys have your first show coming up. When is that?
Yeah, that's September 3rd. It's a Saturday.
And where's that at?
This is really exciting for me. It's at a club called Cat's Cradle in Carborough, North Carolina. And yeah, it's a really well-known club, but we are playing in the back room, so it's not quite as prestigious. But this is our first show, and I actually the whole reason I live in this area, well, maybe not the whole reason, but like one of the things that prompted me to consider this area was that club. I moved down here in 2005 because my friend had moved to Durham nearby, and I was just still living in my college town, just like not really sure what to do with myself. And I was like, oh, I want to go live in another college town that has a rock club in it. So I moved down to this area, and that was kind of the start of like my whole creative journey, like post college and post my first band. But anyway, so that club means a lot to me. And so even though we're playing in the back room at an early show, I am super stoked to be playing there. And it's an all ages show, so my son can come, which I'm really excited to like perform for him. Although it's he told me already tonight he's going to be too tired that night to come. But I don't know if he's like feeling a little like shy about it now that it's like something that might happen. But yeah, so I mentioned my buddy Scotty Sandwich. So he's our producer and the main musician in the band. He calls his studio the Sandwich Shop, and he's putting together this like Sandwich Shop showcase on the 3rd of all bands that have recorded with him.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's really cool to be like part of this scene. And yeah, I'm just excited to go nuts, man. Like the band it's so funny, guys. Like, so it's me and Scotty who are 41 and 42. And then Brennan and Noel who are 17 and 18.
That sounds right. That sounds 100% correct.
That is awesome.
So Worthington's Law, I think for the most part is going to keep being mostly just me and Scott, like as far as like making our records goes. But these guys are in a band called Orphan Riot from this area, and they've been playing since they were like 13 years old, and they're fucking sick. And so they're like our little like wrecking crew. We're like, yo, we need bassist, drummer, plug in, like listen to our CD and like learn our songs, and they're awesome. And so I can't wait to like I can just imagine like it's gonna be so funny. Like I'm gonna dress up as dad-like as possible. Where like
you got to get a brand new pair of New Balance.
Yeah,
get a brand new pair of New Balances.
Well, I do have new Skechers, which are even more authentic.
Allowable. Forget the sweatpants.
So yeah, gonna get up there and like just I'm gonna like present myself as like the dad that I just got off work and let's party.
There you go.
Awesome.
I'm stoked.
Yeah, dude. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
you're gonna have a blast.
Yeah,
sure.
Thanks.
Your son's gonna have a blast too, man.
I think so too. He's got the big headphones ready to go. So
there you go. Awesome. But there's a show coming up this Tuesday that I'm going to be going to, and I'm going to try to get some footage there. But Houston and the Dirty Rats from New Jersey are coming down to Charleston, playing a venue called the Tin Roof. So anybody in Charleston, come on over. But
nice.
They're a great band. Check them out. But yeah, Worthington's Law. What's the club called?
Cat's Cradle.
Cat's Cradle room. In the back room. Go check them out if you're in the area. Nick, thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, guys. It was really awesome to like see you all and hear your voices, and yeah, we're
you're a crew voice, isn't it? Or
yeah,
post, I guess.
Yeah, or like a face in motion to a otherwise, still avatar.
Having an actual conversation instead of a comment battle.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
You can see that I'm smiling when I'm posting. I'm not actually sarcastic like it looks like.
Yeah. Clearly, this was sarcasm. You can tell by this particular font. I still, by the way, advocate for a internationally recognized sarcasm font. I think it's something
we need something like that. Yeah.
Something like other than the capital, lowercase, capital, lowercase, capital, lowercase, like something where people are immediately like, "Oh, they didn't mean it." It would save us a lot of time.
Yes. It's like asterisk, tilde, like decorative.
Statement. Something. Just something for everybody that's like, oh, they're not serious. They're not serious. Okay, it's cool. We're not friends.
How long has it been a thing, people? Like, why is this not like why is this still an issue?
No, I feel like seriously, for at least 15 years, people have been talking about this shit. It needs to be done.
Yeah.
This is something that has to happen. There needs to be a third keyboard option.
My new thing is to write haha at the end of everything, which I feel so like,
just so people know.
I feel like like emojis don't mean anything anymore. Like I just have to like let you know I'm nervously laughing as I say this.
I personally like to drop the numeric emojis because it fucks people up. Like when I'm really angry about something and I'm on a completely different site. This is not PDU or PRD, or for that matter, anything. If I'm really angry about something, I like to do the actual like semicolon fucking parentheses and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's my favorite thing to do is just add a winking emoji, the original version, at the end of it and see what happens. A lot of times it just goes dead. Which is also my goal too, because I don't want to keep talking about whatever it was.
Yeah, check out Worthington's Law. You find them on Spotify. It's great shit.
Thank you.
Get Off My Sack is a great song.
Great song. It's a great thing that song is 100% everything it was meant to be.
All you got to do is work. And the great thing about it is living where I live now, just outside Charleston, South Carolina, in the suburbs. Like that song resonates. Like holy shit, resonates.
It's like the fact, like it is like one, like just the get off my sack, and the fact that like if you don't understand where that's coming from, the statement in and of itself, there are people who probably listen to it like, yeah, get off my sack. But
yeah, right. Exactly.
There's anybody above 35 who's like, fuck yeah, get off my sack.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I specifically mean cul-de-sac.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean too. When I hear it, like if I heard that song from anybody, I'd be like, yeah, get off it.
And it's great because before I even I was like, that's the song I'm gonna play. Like, that's the song I'm gonna kick this off with. Like I hit the shuffle button, but I immediately hit pause because I was like, no, get off my sack. That's where I gotta start. I know he's not talking about his balls. You know what I mean? He's definitely talking about his neighborhood. He does not want these little guys there. This is like the epitome of old guy punk rock. It's great.
Thank you. That's why I strive to do the punk rock dad and punk dad united community proud by representing our common anxieties and yeah.
To my knowledge, there's not anybody that wouldn't be like, oh yeah, that's right. Is it okay to feel good about this? I feel good about it.
I feel good about it too. And I think that's why that's why you're making music, because you, like you said, you just want something for all of us to relate to, and we do, and we can't thank you enough for it.
Well, thank you so much. That means a lot to me, and thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh, of course, man.
I'm talking to you guys.
Anytime at all, man. Like for real. Like we'll gladly bring you back anytime. Like
we'll
you guys put out a new EP or something. Come on.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm still writing, so yeah, there will be more music.
Oh yeah. We can't wait because
sweet.
Yeah. Write more songs like Get Off My Sack and you'll keep them coming.
Well, I'll let you know what's coming up. We do have a song coming up called Respect the Schweppes. Which is, about the dude at the bar drinking a ginger ale. So
it's just my DD, guys.
Oh, fuck me, that's great.
Oh, on that note, we have to wrap this up because that was
Respect the Schweppes.
Respect the Schweppes.
I'm making a shirt. I'm getting a shirt.
Yep.
It doesn't even matter if it's sponsored by you guys. I'm making a shirt.
But Nick, thanks for coming on again, man.
Yeah, dude,
can't wait to have you back. Look forward to everything you guys got coming out for real. Because
appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Top notch shit. Jason, Gregor,